of the relations between Israel and China, and for the other aspects that the speaker spoke about the place of her university and what they do in various aspects between Israel and China. And now I give the floor to Matan Vilnai. If you want Skype, we'll arrange it for you. We are used to seeing you on Spike. We never see you in person. אי אפשר לתרגם, טכנאי אורן, קובי, אי אפשר לתרגם, יש רעש נורא.
אנחנו יכולים לדבר על מדיניות החוץ הסינית ולנסות להבין מי מייצר אותה. האם משרד החוץ הסיני, אולי משרד החוץ של המפלגה, אולי השר שמופקד על...
עכשיו יסתדר. I'm sorry, there was a technical problem. Now we're talking about the president of China, who actually creates the Chinese foreign policy. The answer is not simple. Sometimes it's not clear. The second president, Xi Jinping, but it's not something self-evident. There were periods it was different. Or we can talk about the dependency of China on America. We all talk about China and the energy in the Middle East. 60% of the Chinese energy comes from the Middle East. There are huge energy pipes that bring energy to China from the Central Asian Republic, the former FSU. Complete dependence on international maritime things. And therefore a mission force vis-à-vis the shores of Somalia to fight against pirates with all the other countries, the Americans, the Europeans, they're all there. And the base in Djibouti, this is the first time that China is establishing a basis overseas. It's the 4,000 years that it never happened. There are no Chinese bases overseas, as opposed to the European colonialists in America. This is a unique phenomenon in itself. They're there with the Japanese, the French, the Americans, and others. But it's a completely logistics basis, only logistics. It's not, God forbid, a military basis or of the Navy. And that also we should discuss. And this basis, anybody who knows, if you don't see it, you also hear the Middle East. We can talk about that as well. And we can talk about the fact that there is a policy vis-à-vis the United States. And to say it very delicately, maybe the lack of experience of the American president caused the fact that he pushes China to the center of the world map. It forces it to become the leader of the world. They never thought about it. And if we expected at the time, and we spoke in this very room about a trade war between China and the United States, it's not a war and it's not trade. And all of a sudden everything looks different. And if the Chinese are equipped in tools in order to be a leading superpower in the world, to replace the United States of America, people say that in the Middle East and in the world. But reality is stronger than anything else. And we can talk about North Korea as well. North Korea, for the Israelis. It is the playground of the adults. It threatens the world. We are in the playground of the little ones. But North Korea, apparently that without China you can't do anything there, neither from a diplomatic point of view or military or economically with any, and according to what the Chinese say, that's what people do, nobody else. So all the talk beforehand, after one meeting or two, we see that everything looks different, and the place of China is clear and cut regarding the Northern Korean issue. And we can talk also about the new era, about one belt, one road, and the ABE Bank. And we're going to hear about it in a minute, about this phenomenon, and how we joined these bank in the last minute, almost by accident, between the 57 establishing countries of this bank, that within a very short time it's going to be the central financial force in the world, more than the World Bank or any other bank, just because of the fact of the investment of this bank. And this is a world in itself also, and the sky is the limit. And we can talk about many other topics of China in the Middle East, and there's no question that it is dragged into the Middle East in an overt way, in a covert way, so that there's no doubt whatsoever of the centrality of China altogether, and especially China in the Middle East. And I look at one thing. In 3 years from now, in the 21st century, it will be 100 years to the Chinese Communist Party. Since 1921 in Shanghai, that's where it all began. Until today, that hut is there and everybody can see it. So these 100 years are also 1 year before the post of the President Xi Jinping, into 10 years of administration under him. There's more than one gossip that apparently it's not going to happen, but that's gossip. You cannot know. By law, it's defined that November 2022, this president is going to end office. So there are all sorts of processes that go together, and they go parallel to one another. So we have to be patient until then, because the Chinese knew how to evaluate history and dates and processes, things that we are not so good at. And perhaps until then we will discover new things in the Chinese policy in the world, especially where they are pushed ahead by the largest superpower in the world, the USA. And this whole issue of the Silk Road, which is a declaration of the president in 2015, that's where it began, and the entire issue around it can bring about new things. And you know, we, the Israelis, we are going to say, so what's going to happen to the project? You know, this way that Israelis think, what's going to happen with the project? Why should anything happen to the project? Why? Projects are the most important thing, a bridge, a railroad, a port, or something like that. That's what determines facts. The fact that they talk about it, the fact that the whole world is dealing with it, the fact that there are whole systems that are going towards this. First of all, it shows of the investments that they do. That's why the discussion whether the economic power will become strategic power or not. Finally, the Idai Ilu is a proof to their intentions. And there's nothing more worrisome than the understanding. No, not worrisome. There's nothing more definite then the Chinese intention to become a central factor in the world. And this is, today I would say, that the two central phenomena in the world today is China, its rise vis-à-vis the States, and the Trump policy made it into something very significant. And the other thing is the world Islamic terror that we all suffer from. China does as well. And these are the two main phenomena that today the world is experiencing in the 21st century. Thank you very much. Thank you.